Now, why are the Oscars so gay? Well, at least one of the top directors of the time has an answer for you. Well, Joe Russo, one of the Russo brothers, has come out and said, well, one of the reasons why popular films are not being even, put into contention for the Oscars anymore and more looking at artsy films is because of one of the people who started this whole trend in the first place. That person is in jail. He is infamous. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's Harvey Weinstein. And we're going to go into an interview about what he said regarding this. So he has said that Harvey Weinstein's campaign playbook vilified mainstream movies to champion the art films, and he pushed for Academy recognition. This guy's in jail. Harvey Weinstein was in jail for despicable things for over decades. He's also having really bad health problems too, so he's probably not going to be around with us much more. Somehow, nobody got their hands on them in there. Joe Russo, one half of the sibling powerhouse producing directing team known as the Russo brothers, posited today that today's blockbuster versus indie discourse is in large part due to his campaign playbook. Now, we have seen this. This talk has been going on very recently, how they're only pushing the artsy fartsy films, things that nobody has seen, and then other news articles have come out in interviews where the people that are voting on the Oscars themselves have said, yeah, I didn't even watch it. It's in contention, but I didn't even watch it. But apparently this goes all the way back to Weinstein. Russo lamented that popular film success at the box office and disproportional losses at the Academy Awards is due to that trend. I don't necessarily think that just because the movie did really well and hit a wide audience necessarily means that it should get an award. However, there's a little bit of compromise that we can find in between those things. He said the trend was started by him. He vilified mainstream movies, even though he produced a crap ton of them. And to champion the art films, he pushed for Oscar campaigns. Popular films were winning Oscars before the mid-90s. Yes, I think even Star Wars got one. Then Weinstein started mudslinging campaigns that affected how audiences view the Oscars because they've not seen most of the movies. We're in a complicated place. Not only have audiences not seen these movies, but the people voting on the Oscars themselves have not seen a lot of the movies that are in contention. And a lot of them are hard to get without press passes or press passes. Also, there's a big thing with it. The Oscars used to be one of the biggest things. I mean, it would rival the Super Bowl with how many viewers it would get. Not only because they had great comedians up there hosting, everything would be fun. It would all be, whether or not it's family friendly, whether or not you would call that, but the politicization of how they've done everything. That now they have a soapbox. It used to not be a soapbox. It was all about having fun, celebrating great movies. Now it's a political platform for them. And that's why they're completely falling off. That's why viewership numbers are down drastically. Things we should all be enjoying collectively, we instead punch each other in the face over. Yes. Wow, he actually sounds a little bit based whenever he's saying this, because this is what our side of the internet has been saying for quite a long time. It's like, why don't you just get all that crap out of there? Or if you're going to make fun of one side, make fun of both sides. Preferably don't make fun of any side at all unless just make fun of the people who are making movies, the films that we're all supposed to be enjoying and celebrating. He did go and do Adventures Endgame, like he was a part of Captain America Civil War. He's also had something very recently called Electric State. And he goes on to say that, like this argument that Marvel movies were killing cinema, well, Marvel movies seem to be keeping cinemas open for quite a long time. That could be debated. That could definitely be debated, but, not necessarily without merit. And here's where I say, maybe keeping cinemas alive, I don't know about that, but that's basically the way that Hollywood was going. They were going more towards the blockbusters, but those don't get any recognition in the Oscars. However, Oscar viewership had fallen off because of other things they're doing. It's not just one thing fits all. The top grossing films of the 90s, Titanic, Jurassic Park, had budgets that would cower in what everyone else is doing nowadays. But those are films that won, that got recognition. Also, Jurassic Park did something with the CGI and practical effects that was unheard of at the time. Titanic, also the same way, having an epic story, basically a love story, and somehow making the most money of all time of any film. until it got beat out by stuff, decades later and by the same director. It was doing things. So obviously worthy of recognition. And this is just the thing too, like with all the categories that they have, there are definitely ways where you can hit like best popular films. Maybe not best popular films. I'm like, that's way too like broad a term for this. But surprise hit, best surprise hit. You could do something like that. Now, while Marvel has seen nods, but those were political nods, like visual effects for Black Panther. Excuse you. If you saw any of that, those were laughable to me. Even at the time that it came out, it's like, oh, I could see the chinks in the armor right there. But it's also gotten all of this stuff. But look at everything that they're saying. Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings, Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man No Way Home was the only one out of these that I can see that actually had anything of value to it. Now, this is the bigger thing. This is the bigger picture of all of it because it's not only the anonymous people who are voting for the Oscar awards. It's not only those people because according to a 22 Wall Street Journal poll, more than half of all people surveyed hadn't even seen any of the 10 films, not even one, that have been nominated for Best Picture because they are all art house films nowadays or foreign. Now, granted, some of these movies are actually good, but as far as like going on a popular, like world televised TV show to celebrate the films that you saw, that you were supposed to have seen in cinema, so many of them weren't even in the theaters. Yet they're winning awards and a lot of the time sweeping the awards. And the last time that like I don't think anyone could disagree or argue with anything was when Lord of the Rings Return of the King just basically swept every category that they were in. Also, that movie was produced by the Weinstein Company, just to let you know, and that was before he got arrested. So maybe it's all a narcissistic thing from him. I mean, he did produce quite a few blockbuster films. Well, quite a few. They had a giant company, but he wanted the little media darlings, probably the ones that he knew wouldn't speak up until they all spoke up. And you know, where you have Meryl Streep saying that you're God. Well, she's one of the big ones. And then all the little ones along the way is like, I'll promote your film. That'll be my way of getting you an award. That's for all the time that you had to spend on your knees. It's a debate that has long simmered since the cultural and capital domination of the ever expanding MCU began in the early 2010s. However, the Academy has largely sided on quality over quantity. Bullshit. I call bullshit right there because just because it's artsy does not make it good. I mean, you can have good cinematography and the story can still suck. It can absolutely be a stink bomb. You can have great acting and they're actually not saying anything. It's like, well, the delivery was great. What were they delivering? The script was absolute dog shit. That kind of stuff happens all the time. Well, it's really pretty, but there was no substance to it. And that's what or just like Roma, we could just film it in black and white. That's artsy enough, right? That hits you straight in the feels. Let's get some sepia tones on this. That'll win awards. And that's driven the term Oscar bait. It's Oscar bait because it's not meant to sell tickets, it's meant to win awards. Not even counting the fact that you have to campaign to be even in contention for voting for these awards, which cost millions and millions of dollars. Coming out recently, even Honora was shot on a budget of $6 million. They spent $18 million to try to get at Oscar awards. Just think about what Amelia Perez was doing as well until all of those tweets came out from that monstrosity. I'm not talking about the movie, although the movie does count as well. This is what's been going on for a long time. Was Harvey Weinstein the first one to actually do it? Because we do notice a trend. The trend is that, yes, nobody gives a shit about these movies anymore unless you're a cinephile. And even then, most of the time, they don't care about them. This is Malty from Mouth of Malty. If you guys have anything to say, leave it down in the comment section below. Can we blame the guy who did this to the beloved Oscars, what used to be beloved. It's not only that, though. Keep that in mind. It is not only a push in one direction as a push in another direction. It always will be. There is more nuance to everything other than just what you topically see. And that's kind of like, it's what interests me the most. It's like, oh yeah, let's think about all the other things, because ceteris paribus, you could put it on that. But nothing in life is that way. Y'all have a great day, and y'all take care. Bye-bye. But the politicization, yeah, I'm going to struggle with that word, but the politicization